And not quite showing up on the restream, but this race is officially underway. Alrighty, just got to get through this title screen here real quick. And so the first thing our players are going to be doing here is they're going to be entering a very specific name. That name is going to be Bopo. For those of you familiar with Vanilla Dragon Warrior or perhaps the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, just like in the NES version of the game, Dragon Quest I Super Famicom, your name does determine your stats. One of the nice things about this version of the game is that your stats are fixed. We know exactly what our stats are going to be at any given time, at least in terms of things like MP, strength, HP. Yeah, those are guaranteed to be certain values at certain levels. Bopo happens to correspond to a strength HP build. And so basically both of our runners here are going to be using that name to maximize their strength and HP by the end of the game. And so at the start here, our players did grab 3 treasure chests. Those treasure chests contain 120 gold, a wing of the wyvern, and a torch. I'm sorry, there was a magic key in one of those chests. That chest of drawers that they searched in the inn contained a wing of the wyvern, which can be used to return to the castle at any time. The first thing that they bought there with their gold is they bought a club. It's the weapon they're going to be using for the first part of this run here. Next thing they're going to be buying here is they're going to be buying a dragon scale, which is going to provide a little bit of armor for them in this starting segment. And then they're going to be buying 2 more torches on top of the one that they picked up in the castle. And finally, they're going to be buying a couple of herbs for a total of 3. And so viewers familiar with the NES version of Dragon Warrior may wonder why they're buying so many torches. There is one very welcome change that was made to the Super Famicom remake of Dragon Quest I, and that is that torches can be used in battle. Torches will do 4 to 6 damage to pretty much any enemy. And so we will be using those torches to take down a monster that we would not otherwise be able to take down on our own. But first, the goal for our runners here is to get to level 2. They're going to be looking for a total of 7 experience to do that. And it looks like Star is going to be the first, and SUMDeaner should be, yep, right behind. And so now that they've gotten to level 2, they are going to continue to kind of head in an easterly direction here. They're going to be headed towards the town of Myra, or Cole in the English version. And just taking any battles that they can get along the way. They are going to be keeping track of how much experience they earn. And kind of potentially changing their path a little bit here. These forest and mountain tiles will give you more encounters while on average, while the plains tiles will give you less encounters. And so if these runners feel like they are already at kind of a high experience point threshold for this portion of the run, they can choose to walk a slightly different path. As SUMDeaner here fighting a ghost giving the most experience for this particular area, but also a little bit dangerous at this low level. StarOfViolence feels like he doesn't quite have enough experience as he'd like, so he's going to go ahead and force another encounter here, and then I imagine he's going to start heading north. Yep, there he goes. SUMDeaner might actually get level 3 off this ghost here. Let's see if he does. Not quite. Okay, so now we have a Magidraki over on StarOfViolence's side. So this is one of those enemies that, you know, as I mentioned before, we would absolutely not be able to fight this Magidraki just with our weapons. We'd only be doing 1 damage to it at a time. But again, with these torches, throwing all 3 of those torches is going to pretty much guarantee that the Magidraki is going to go down, and Star is going to get his level 3, and it looks like SUMDeaner got his at the same time. SUMDeaner did get his off a Magician, which when both of our players are going to be looking for level 4 here in a little bit, Diener may be a little bit behind to StarOfViolence, but picking up an extra ghost here before walking into the town of Myra, that's going to help him out here. And so now that we are here, both of these players are going to be picking up some items. They have picked up the Fairy Flute, which is very important for a boss fight coming up later. And the next two items they picked up are a set of clothes. It's going to be a very welcome defense boost, and a strength seed. Strength seed is going to be very important as we continue this run here. And a little bit of path divergence here. StarOfViolence chose to take the intentional death warp. Felt his HP was a little bit too low and has returned back to the castle, whereas SUMDeaner has chosen to go ahead and use his wing. So what this path divergence is going to mean, basically, you can see StarOfViolence by taking his intentional death. He's gotten his MP back here, but SUMDeaner still doesn't have any. So what's important about that is, I believe after dispatching this Draki here, let's see which way StarOfViolence chooses to walk. Okay, he's going to stick around here and try to get level 4. Once he gets his level 4, he's going to learn the Hurt spell. And the Hurt spell is going to be used, we're going to use it to dispatch a couple of those stronger enemies like we saw before. If we see Magidrakis, or better yet, Scorpions, the Hurt spell is guaranteed to take them down in one hit and give us a little bit of an experience boost. So, again, slight path divergence. Star is going to eventually want to go up to, you see SUMDeaner is kind of up here in this town, and he's already entering the town of Garai, or Garanham, and he's going to do a little bit of shopping here. And StarOfViolence is going to do that little bit of shopping right after he takes takes a couple of encounters here, again, with that Hurt spell. And so SUMDeaner is going to be, kind of physically speaking, a little bit ahead. But StarOfViolence is going to aim to be a little bit ahead on experience, which can play a little bit of a difference. I would say probably about 20 minutes from now is where we're going to potentially see that difference come to fruition. So, yeah, SUMDeaner a little bit ahead in terms of objectives, StarOfViolence a little bit ahead in terms of experience, but So SUMDeaner's done with his shopping in Garai. StarOfViolence going to head up to Garai and do his shopping and then be right behind SUMDeaner. And so the particulars of this shopping that we do here in Garai is a couple of things are going on here. First, we want to buy as many herbs as we can carry. The max we can carry is 6. The other thing we want to do is we want to fill up our inventory with torches. And there's a particular reason we want to do that. We're not going to be using these torches right away. It is actually more important that our inventory be full for this next section of the run here. And because SUMDeaner took a little bit of a faster route that kind of sacrifices experience for time, the particular encounters he gets here is going to be important. He wants to make as efficient use of his MP as possible. Getting that Magidraki is going to help out. Getting a second Magidraki here is going to help out a lot as well. Once he enters that cave, he's going to need to try to be a little bit picky about which encounters he takes. So let's see what he gets here. So yeah, SUMDeaner first into what we call the Rocky Mountain Cave, and you're going to notice he's doing this in the dark. It is very important that we keep our inventory full during this section here for a little bit of a trick that we're going to do. And so we can't use a torch, but fortunately, as you can see, there's kind of a circle around our plucky hero here. This might get a little bit dangerous. Okay, SUMDeaner choosing to fight one of these metas here, and fortunately having to use an herb, but going to get some good experience for his troubles here. But again, going back to the darkness thing, as SUMDeaner takes on a magician, this should level him up, I believe. Oh, almost, not quite there. So you can see there's a little bit of a circle here around our hero. And so basically, you can kind of just make out the walls of the cave on the edges of this kind of circle of light. And so as long as you kind of hug the walls of this cave, there are runners here. They're going to have no problem navigating their way through this dungeon. So Star and SUMDeaner hitting level 5 at the same time. Now, there is a bit of a difference. Again, that experience that StarOfViolence picked up early on, he's got his level 5, which is going to increase his strength enough that, for example, if he sees a magician, he can actually just choose to attack it and hold on to his MP for a tougher opponent, maybe potentially worth more MP, and in fact choosing to run away from this meta, hoping to run into Scorpions, I would imagine. Scorpions giving 16 experience, that's the most you can find, and yep, choosing to fight this magician. Magicians at this point, for Star, you know, that he has level 5, they're pretty much guaranteed to go down in 2 hits. They can cast the hurt spell, and so as long as they're nice about it, don't cast that hurt spell, you're not going to take too much damage. And just making their way along. I believe Diener is just about, yep, okay, Diener heading down to the 2nd floor, running a little bit short on herbs, already down to 2 here. All right, does manage to get away from that skeleton. Ooh, these warlocks are actually the scariest enemy down here. But first, we're going to detour to pick up this gold chest, and then here, we're going to see, so this chest here, SUMDeaner is going to be opening this chest multiple times, and what he's doing is he's opening it, and because his inventory is full, the game says, hey, there is a torch in this treasure chest, but your inventory is full. Which, oh, wow, that was really quick. Okay, so when you open that chest has a 1 in 16 chance of giving an item called the Death Necklace. And every other time it will give you a torch. But because our inventory was full, the game just says, hey, you know, would you like to throw something away in order to pick up this torch? And if you say no, the chest closes and you can open it again. And so the eventual goal is to get this Death Necklace, which is going to be very important. We're going to sell that later for some money. But unfortunately, it is a little bit of RNG. SUMDeaner getting his very quickly, I want to say within 6 or 7 tries. StarOfViolence is also opening this chest. Not too far behind SUMDeaner, but not having quite the same luck. Oh, never mind. StarOfViolence picked up his Death Necklace. And SUMDeaner picking up the 2nd or in the 3rd chest here. Okay, so these chests that SUMDeaner picked up, the first chest he picked up was an iron shield. That is the shield we're going to be using for the rest of the game here. And let's see. Alrighty, so there is the Death Warp for SUMDeaner. SUMDeaner is going to be heading back to the castle in order to do some very important RNG. A little bit of save scumming here. And yeah, Hactical, it did look like he ran from everything first try on the 2nd floor. Yeah, because he still got both of his herbs here. A lot going on at once here. Okay, so right now in our inventory, we have 2 strength seeds. And those strength seeds roll from 1 to 3, and we need them to roll a total of 5. So SUMDeaner got a 3 on his first seed, which is really good, and he went ahead and saved after getting that 3. So now he just needs to roll a 2 or a 3 on this 2nd seed. Unfortunately, his first try was a 1, and so he did reset. Now he gets a 2, and now he is free to move on. Ooh, Star using a very nice technique. Combined a hurt spell along with a torch to take down a warlock. That's going to boost his experience along quite nicely. SUMDeaner needing 101 experience to level 6. A little bit high for the average. Now that we see StarOfViolence still here in this cave, again, I'll just mention real quick, wow, both players getting a 5 on their starting NPC roll. That's super great. Once again, to mention, the players did pick up a large shield or steel shield in this cave. That's the only shield they're going to be using for the rest of the game. They picked up the first of 3 MP seeds. MP seeds roll from 3 to 5, and both players did get the maximum roll out of their first MP seed, which is really good. And then the last chest they picked up there was that final strength seed. And so now StarOfViolence going to save. And yeah, StarOfViolence going to save. And go ahead and roll his strength seeds. Did he roll both first try? He must have. Wow. Go ahead. And he's just going to go ahead and wing out. And now both players are making their way to Rimmildar. And this is a point where, again, SUMDeaner is ahead on the map. But StarOfViolence needs a lot less experience, only needing 40 to get to level 6. So generally what we like to do here, as SUMDeaner making his way through the swamp cave with not very many encounters. So what we like to do here is, as we approach the town of Rimmildar, we're going to be seeing much stronger monsters than we've seen before. And the kind of soft goal here is to get to level 6 and then try to take a couple of extra encounters on top of that. To get a head start on experience going into the next section. Now, if you're running low on resources, you know, your MP and your medical herbs, then you might not be able, you might just barely get to level 6, and then it might take a little bit longer to do exactly what you want to do in the next section. But StarOfViolence getting 2 magic jockeys, not using any MP. So it's going to be up to StarOfViolence to see, you know, how many extra fights does he want to take in that Rimmildar area. SUMDeaner going toe-to-toe with a skeleton here. And still not quite level 6 and running a little bit low on resources. Going to choose to take a different path here. So it's very important to note that just walking this one tile up away from these mountains here is going to change the encounters that SUMDeaner fights. And then, okay, there's SUMDeaner's level 6. Oh, no. And some of that bad RNG rearing its ugly head. A StarOfViolence does get put to sleep by a Warlock and just stays asleep. Unfortunately, that is a thing that can happen. One nice thing, unlike Dragon Warrior 1 on the NES, where you are 100% to go to sleep if an enemy casts it, in this it's a flat 50-50. I do believe it's a 50% chance on each turn to wake up, but unfortunately StarOfViolence did go down there and is going to have to redo his walk towards Rimmildar. Meanwhile, over on SUMDeaner's screen here, we do see that he has entered the town of Rimmildar. The most important thing about entering the town of Rimmildar is start getting his level up off of a slime for one experience. That's pretty great. But yeah, SUMDeaner buying himself some magic keys. Magic keys are invaluable items, absolutely required to beat the game. He also picked up a defense seed and already used it. Defense seeds are guaranteed to give 4 defense every single time. There is no randomness with the defense seeds. And so here is why that Death Necklace was so important. The Death Necklace does sell for 1,200 gold, and we use that 1,200 gold to finance ourselves a steel sword, which is the weapon we're going to be using for the vast majority of the run here. And so now, with that in hand, SUMDeaner is going to go ahead and buy himself a couple of Wings of the Wyvern. He's going to go ahead and fill up his inventory with herbs, and he's going to head down to the inn to unlock some doors and grab one extra item before heading out of here. And we see Star making his way back through the swamp cave. Going to be able to pick up a little bit of extra experience and get himself a head start on that next section, even though he is behind on the map. You know, extra experience, never a bad thing. And so that item that SUMDeaner picked up, that was an HP seed. We're going to pick up 3 HP seeds over the course of the run. And the rolls that we get on those aren't terribly important, although it is nice to note that SUMDeaner did roll a 6, which is the maximum. Rolling a 4 on that MP seed, pretty nice. Rolling a speed seed here, got a 3, so that could play a factor at the end of the game here. And we'll just have to see how things play out. So with all those things collected, SUMDeaner is going to go ahead and buy a few more keys here to make sure he is holding on to the max, which is 6. And then he's going to go down to the basements. So a couple extra items here. SUMDeaner picking himself up an herb, and also picking himself up the second of those 3 HP seeds. And after that, it's going to come and talk to this old man. And this old man's going to talk about blah, 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 blood of the legendary hero, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to pick up these Stones of Sunlight, one of the required items to finish the game. StarOfViolence, I think, has fought like 3 wolves in a row here. That's going to be quite the amount of bonus experience for him. But this extra walk here is going to be a little bit scary. Hopefully he makes it. All right, cool. So now StarOfViolence is into Rimildar, and he's going to go ahead and buy his keys, buy his sword, do all his shopping, and get ready for the trip to Garenham, which is where SUMDeaner is headed right now. I do imagine that SUMDeaner went ahead and used his second HP seed in battle. I didn't see what it rolled. But again, we can roll minimum on these HP seeds, and it's actually going to be fine. Their purpose is to make sure that we have enough HP to fight the Golem when we hit level 8. And that's going to be coming up here in about 10 to 15 minutes from now. But again, even if we roll minimums, as long as our runners remember to pick up all 3 seeds and use them, we're guaranteed to have a maximum maximum HP that's enough to take at least 1 hit from the Golem. So nothing too much to worry about there, as SUMDeaner does. SUMDeaner did go to the shop here in Garenham, and he picked himself up a set of chainmail. And so now, equipped with our shiny new broadsword and our shiny new chainmail, all these enemies on this first floor of Garenham's grave, we've seen all these enemies before, and before they were kind of scary, but now, again, with that shiny broadsword, we can take them down no problem. And so SUMDeaner is going to be looking for as many encounters as he can possibly take up here while they're easy. His goal is to get to level 7 as soon as he can. Yeah, I think I'm counting around 75 experience for SUMDeaner so far, so about a third of the way there. Gonna go ahead and roll a 4 on that last HP seed, picking up a little bit of gold and a free, an extra key for himself. StarOfViolence is done with all of his shopping in Rimildar. Gonna go ahead and raid those seeds in the castle here. Alrighty, StarOfViolence getting a 1 on his speed seed and a 4. Wow, so exact same MP for our players here. So neither of them getting minimum rolls on their first 2 seeds. Actually going to be really good potentially. It's going to be 3 extra MP for them to play around with during the dreaded Golem Walk section. Could make the difference. We will have to see. That one on Star of Violence's Speed Seed could also make the difference in the final boss fight. Ooh, and SUMDeaner quickly reaching level 7 here. Level 7 is important because it gets us the sleep spell. Sleep spell going to be very useful once we head down these stairs here to the 3rd basement level. Well, once we get past this wolf. Well, here we're going to see a little bit of interesting property of the sleep spell, something that I believe was changed for the remake. All wolves in this game are 100% chance to go to sleep, so SUMDeaner saving himself a little bit of damage here by going ahead and putting that wolf to sleep before taking it out. And then from here, the enemies do get a little bit more dangerous. This Hell Ghost here, not super susceptible to sleep, also doesn't have that much max HP, does have quite a few spells himself, chooses not to use them. SUMDeaner dispatches that Hell Ghost with no problem. So there is kind of a soft goal here. These runners are going to be looking for about 4 or 5 encounters to kind of make some progress towards getting level 8 before taking an intentional death warp. Of course, first they are going to want to grab the silver harp. SUMDeaner making his way. Oh, he's gonna force a fight before he heads up the stairs. And again, here we have Werewolf, and just going to go ahead and put that to sleep and should take that out with no problem. Alrighty, and now that SUMDeaner has the silver harp in hand, I imagine he's going to probably look for one more fight. Yeah, Droll Magi is perfect. He's going to go ahead and put that to sleep. And he does have the MP to take one more fight if he wants it. He doesn't need it. I imagine if he gets a favorable encounter, he'll go ahead and take it. And if he gets a less favorable encounter, he might just use it to Death Warp. There is one enemy here that we really don't want to see. A Wraith Knight, you'll know it looks like a skeleton with a sword. That guy can take us out in about 3 hits, and there's no way that we're going to take him out before he takes us out. But SUMDeaner getting himself that 5th kill, I believe, since he got to level 7. Going to go ahead and play the harp here. Probably going to look for something to suicide on. Nope. Going to go ahead and try and take out this Metal Lord. Metal Lords can be quite cheeky. They're the only enemy in the game that I know of. They will actually try to heal themselves even when they're full HP. They can be very annoying. But SUMDeaner goes ahead and takes it out here. And actually going to get level 7 before, or level 8 before his Death Warp. That might make a little bit of a difference. He doesn't actually have to get level 8 before walking to the golem. He can just walk straight there. But now needs to find his Death Warp monster. Oh, here we go. This guy's probably going to take him out. Yep, there we go. And StarOfViolence has picked up his items from the 1st floor, going to make his way down to the 2nd. Not sure where he's at in terms of getting to level 7. I don't imagine it's going to take him too long. He picked up quite a bit of extra experience. And in fact, there it is. There is level 7 for him. So he's going to be quickly making his way down to the harp and going to be looking to make his Death Warp out of there as soon as possible. So over on SUMDeaner's side, yeah, again, he is already level 8, so normally it would be a pretty normal situation to wind up with about 100 experience required still once you leave the grave. And then in that situation, we would be wanting to take some encounters. SUMDeaner is stopping to fight this magician. I will point out your run rates in this game are based on the area that you're in and not the enemy that you're fighting. And so even though a magician is a pretty low-level enemy, SUMDeaner can still fail to run away from it. And if he fails to run away from it and it casts hurt, that's going to be a pretty significant amount of damage. And SUMDeaner's really going to want to hold on to as many resources as he can. So in this situation, we do generally choose to fight Magidrakis and Magicians over running away and potentially taking that spell to the face. Over on Star of Violence screen, we do see that, oh no, we see the Wraith Knight hitting Star of Violence, and you can see they do a lot of damage. They hurt really hard, and unfortunately Star of Violence is going to have to walk back to Garenham's grave and make his way back down to pick up that heart. Very unfortunate. Ooh, Metal Slime on SUMDeaner's side. Oh, Metal Slime runs away. It is worth pointing out that that's the only place in the game that will be passing by with the option to fight Metal Slimes, or to see Metal Slimes. And Metal Slimes are interesting. So whether or not... So Metal Slimes have really high defense, as you probably know. And for enemies that have really, really high defense, whether or not you do any damage to them is based on the frame that you hit them on, and it is possible to manipulate kind of whether or not you land your hits. And so SUMDeaner was kind of taking his menuing a little bit slowly there, again, trying to ensure that he gets that hit. We can't manipulate whether or not they stay, but if they stay long enough, we can manipulate whether or not we hit them. Oh, Kage. Okay, that shadowy skeleton is that's the enemy. Oh, here he is again. Wow, 2 first try runs from the Shadow Knight. Those guys, we do not want to see them at all. SUMDeaner is going to go ahead and use this herb here, and here we go. So SUMDeaner starting his golem fight. So another nice thing, another nice difference about the Super Famicom version of Dragon Quest I is in every other version of this game, so far as I'm aware, if you put the golem to sleep, it's not guaranteed to stay asleep on the next turn. So it's kind of hard to take it down safely. But in this Super Famicom version, it is guaranteed to stay asleep for at least 1 turn after you play the flute. And so you see SUMDeaner here, he's using his resources available to him, his heal spells and his herbs, and he's trying to get back above 55 HP. And so now, what SUMDeaner can do is he's going to be attacking twice and then playing the flute to put it back to sleep. So there is a chance that the golem could wake up on that second turn, but as long as he doesn't, this fight's going to go much quicker. Oh, there's that wake up again, so he's going to play the flute, he's going to heal himself up again. But basically, if SUMDeaner runs out of resources before taking down the golem, it's actually fine. We can just resort to a slower tactic where we attack once, play the flute, attack once, play the flute, and you are guaranteed to be able to take down the golem that way, as long as you don't miss menu or anything like that. All right, so SUMDeaner is down to the last of his resources here, and going to go ahead and try to take down this golem. Golem has exactly 155 HP, so as long as you're counting the damage that you do, looking to be about 65 damage so far. I haven't paid attention to exactly all the hits that SUMDeaner's done, but I'm sure SUMDeaner knows what count he's at. And so yeah, as long as he keeps tracking where he's at, he's going to be able to know when it's safe to just keep swinging and when the golem is guaranteed to die. So should be taking that down here momentarily on SUMDeaner's side. Oh boy. Oh, a miss! Oh man, I thought Star of Violence was gonna get whacked by the Wraith Knight again, but rare miss. Keep Star of Violence in this, and he's gonna pick up his silver harp, and I imagine he's gonna want a death warp as soon as possible here. Wow, Star of Violence having the absolute Worst luck I've seen in quite a while. As SUMDeaner does take down the golem, did correctly count his the damage that he had done, and now we're going to be entering. Once I update these splits here. Alrighty, so now we're going to be entering the namesake of this category. So the category that we're running here is called the Dragon Loop. And the reason we call it that is hidden within the Marsh Cave is a special dragon, and the dragon is guarding the princess of Princess of Tantegel. And so the king asked us at one point to rescue his daughter, and that is one thing that, well, we're kind of gonna do that, but kind of not. So that's something we're gonna get to see plenty of here. But here in the town of Cantlin, we're going to be doing a few things here. Another thing that was added to the Super Famicom version of Dragon Quest I is the addition of a vault. And so the vault allows you to store money as well as items that you no longer need. We don't need the fairy flute anymore, so the fairy flute's going to be sitting in the vault for the rest of the run. We also put a few other items in there that we don't need right now. So those story items we picked up, the Stones of Sunlight, the Silver Harp, we went ahead and put those away, and we went ahead and put our Dragon Scale away as well, because for this next section, we're going to want as much inventory space as possible for fairy water, which is what SUMDeaner is going to be buying for himself here. He's going to buy himself 5 fairy water. He's going to use 1, then going to go ahead and buy 1 more. And after all that is said and done, he's going to go ahead and wing back to the castle. And we're going to start the Dragon Loop section of our run. So this fairy water here, so right now we are level 11, thanks to the golem giving us 2,500 experience. And so because our level is so high, when fairy water is active, we'll get no random encounters during this section. But fairy water is only active for a certain number of steps. 64 to be exact. And so our players are going to be cognizant of how many fairy water steps they have left, and in turn how much HP they have left at the end of each of these dragon fights. So SUMDeaner is going to make his way into the swamp cave, and he's going to make his way down towards this dragon here. StarOfViolence still looking for his level 8, and then going to make his way over towards that golem. All right, SUMDeaner choosing to heal up a little bit of that swamp damage in battle, and then going to start his fight. So each of these fights with this dragon they're going to be a little bit different. So this dragon's got 153 HP, so we are going to want to keep track of about how much damage we've done over the course of the fight. Looking at 46 right now. And so basically the way that we want to play this, we're kind of playing chicken with this dragon here. So at level 11, it's about a coin flip as to who's going to go first between the hero and the dragon. And so SUMDeaner's going to want to try to calculate his last swing so that he's a little bit above 21 HP, because the dragon can't do more than 20 damage to us. Yeah, SUMDeaner hoping the dragon would go first on that last turn. Unfortunately, he did not. But that's okay. 24 HP is decent enough value to have. And so we're going to see why. Like, why is HP so important for this section? Well, we're going to rescue this princess, but we're not going to be taking her back to the castle just yet. Over on StarOfViolence's side, okay, just got to get through this random battle. Going to go ahead and try to put this armored knight to sleep. These armored knights do have about an 80% chance to go to sleep, is able to get away. And yeah, start checking his HP. Going to go ahead and start up this golem fights. And over on SUMDeaner's side, so yeah, SUMDeaner holding on to the princess, walking around in the swamp, taking the intentional death. What that's going to do is it's going to put the princess back in the cave, and it's going to respawn that dragon. So that dragon gives us 950 experience points. And we're going to be killing that dragon a total of 7 times, so 6 more times for SUMDeaner, so that we get to level 15 as quickly as possible. And there are going to be some things kind of happening here between these fights. And so that little message you saw on SUMDeaner's screen, that little text box that popped up, that's letting him know his fairy water just ran out. And so again, we want to keep our fairy water active for as long as possible to make sure we don't get into random battles while we're walking back and forth between the castle and the swamp cave. And so our players are going to want to keep track of their HP. And again, they do want that HP to be as low as possible at the end of each of these dragon fights. So, you know, the lower HP is, the less steps you have to take in the swamp, and the more fairy water you're going to have. Because fairy water, one very important property of fairy water is that it does persist even after you die. The effect will still remain. Over on StarOfViolence's side, looks like he did run out of all of his resources, so is having to resort to playing the flute and then attacking. But again, unless he mismenus or miscounts, should have no problem taking this golem down. And here we are, dragon number 2. So when we fight dragon number 2, we're going to be doing significantly more damage because now we're level 12. And also with SUMDeaner's 3 on his speed seed, he's actually got about a 70% chance to outspeed this dragon. Probably not going to want to play it too risky here towards the end of the fight, but could if he wants to. Nope, going to go ahead and play it safe. Did take that last attack, assuming that he was going to go second. Unfortunately, did go first, but 26 HP. Not too terribly bad for this first half of the dragon loop. Going to have one more dragon here to get to level 13, and then we can start maybe thinking about taking some more risks here. If we take a peek at SUMDeaner's experience here, so he needs about 35 extra experience from random battles. I imagine he's going to start looking for things like scorpions or even metas when he's in that swamp cave. If you just kind of take out one enemy each time you go, you can guarantee yourself getting that level 15 off the last dragon. And StarOfViolence did go ahead and take down that golem. He's going to do his menuing and shopping and such in Cantlin, and then going to start his own dragon loop. So StarOfViolence going ahead, using that vault to store his items, going to go buy himself some keys, and SUMDeaner's going to go ahead and heal in front of the scorpion, make his way down to his 3rd dragon battle. Oh yeah, neat little trick on StarOfViolence's screen. For whatever reason, again, there's another defense seed hiding in that chest of drawers there in the inn. And for some reason, we can grab that from a full tile away. So taking advantage of that just to save a little bit of extra time, pretty common. Alrighty, so now that SUMDeaner's killed his third dragon, he is out of fairy water. Fortunately, here in the town of Breckenary, there is a lady that will sell us more fairy water, and so that's what SUMDeaner's going to go ahead and do. He's going to go ahead and restock his fairy water here. And so now SUMDeaner is on his way to his fourth dragon. Sometimes we do like to call this the safety dragon, so to speak. The reason for that being that after this dragon, SUMDeaner's not going to be dying in the swamp. He is going to be taking an intentional death, but he's going to do it somewhere else. And so the HP that he ends that fight on is not going to matter as much. StarOfViolence getting a nice 21 HP at the end of his first dragon. But yeah, for SUMDeaner here, he doesn't need to pay so much attention to where he's at in the fights, because where we're going to be dying pretty quickly no matter what our HP values are at. Yep, just playing it perfectly safe as SUMDeaner finishes with 36 HP, but again, that's not going to matter too much here. So we're going to go ahead and hit that return spell to head back to the castle. And this is the closest that our princess is ever going to get to getting saved. But unfortunately, we're not going upstairs to the king. We've got some other business to take care of because we have one key left. And there is a key shop here in the back of Tantagel Castle. We're going to use that last key to go ahead and buy 6 more keys, which hopefully should be all of the keys that we need to finish the game. And then going to go ahead and walk down to these barrier tiles. They do 7 damage per half step, so making quick work of that 36 HP. Again, that is why we call Dragon 4 the quote-unquote safety dragon. So 3 more dragons left for SUMDeaner, and so this last dragon, or this next dragon here, this is where we can take a little bit of a risk. It's kind of a calculated risk, especially with that 3 on SUMDeaner's speed seed. He's going to have something like a 97% chance to go first against this next dragon. And so knowing that he can choose to take a swing on a turn where the dragon would kill him, knowing that he can go first as long as he counts that damage correctly, going to be able to, going to want to aim for single-digit hit points after this dragon, and the next dragons, for that matter. Ooh, wow! StarOfViolence getting the outspeed on 13. Very nice finish for him on that second dragon. Alrighty, and SUMDeaner does count correctly. Does get that outspeed. Going to finish this fight with 14 HP. Perfectly good value to be at. And so now, with 2 more dragons to go, SUMDeaner is going to be heading to the town of Breckenary to pick up those items that we put in storage before. The most important of those for just this next section, I mean, obviously the 2 storage items are very important to completing the game. But for this next section, he is going to be picking up that dragon scale that we bought earlier. And that dragon scale is actually going to make a pretty significant difference. So now we're up to level 14. And level 14, the added stats that it gives us on top of equipping that dragon scale is going to make a difference in that it is possible to kill these next 2 dragons without healing, without having to heal at all. It does depend on the hero's damage rolls as well as the dragon's damage rolls, but keeping a close eye on those hit points is going to allow SUMDeaner to potentially save himself a turn healing and kill that dragon a little bit faster. We'll just have to see how things play out here. Ooh, getting the first Kaishin no Ichigeki of the match at a very unfortunate time here. Again, because we want our HP to be as low as possible after these fights, getting an early critical hit against these dragons, or, well, I guess kind of a mid-range critical hit, can leave you with more HP than you would otherwise want. So again, a little bit unfortunate. That would have been nicer to get after the next dragon, but unfortunately, not much we can do about that. And Deaner choosing to use one of his last 2 fairy waters here. Probably going to end up taking a couple of extra encounters on the way to the last dragon, but again, that was unfortunately just a little bit out of his control. Alrighty, time for the last dragon on SUMDeaner's side, as it looks like StarOfViolence just took down his 4th dragon, I believe. And that's going to make, I believe, a 20-minute, 49-second loop. Very respectable time. Again, there are certain factors that can be a little bit out of our control that can make your loop faster or slower. But anything under 22 minutes is under 21 minutes in this case is very, very good. And now SUMDeaner set level 15 does have access to the repel spell. That's what he casts just as soon as he exited the cave there. And that's going to have the same effect as those fairy waters, going to make it so he doesn't run into any random encounters as he makes his way up to where we're going to get the Staff of Rain. And so now we do have 2 of the 3 required story items, and we're going to go collect the last one in just a little bit, but we do need to make a slight detour. Now SUMDeaner is going to be headed towards the town of Hawksness to fight the Axe Knight. And the Axe Knight is guarding Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game. And on the way there, he's going to go ahead and refresh his repel one more time. I'd imagine he's going to let it run out after this so that he can pick up a few random battles. You may remember we're going to be in this area where our players were trying to get level 8 before. And those enemies, we wanted to put them to sleep and kind of whittle them down little by little. But at this point in the game now, we are more than strong enough to go ahead and just take out those monsters in 1 or 2 hits tops. And so if we do get any random battles here, SUMDeaner just getting the 1. Alrighty, getting ready for this Axe Knight battle. So this Axe Knight battle has pretty much one strategy and one strategy only. You are going to just hold down your turbo button and pretty much hope that, that happens. SUMDeaner going first on every single turn. And so that Axe Knight does have the sleep spell, and if he chooses to cast sleep, and if you go to sleep, it can pretty much spell a death sentence for you. If he misses the sleep, that can turn out to be pretty good, or he can just not cast sleep at all, and then you win. And so SUMDeaner does make it past the Axe Knight, and does pick himself up that Erdrick's armor. He's going to walk around a little bit here. So Erdrick's armor has a bunch of special properties to it. So first off, it has the most defense out of any piece of armor in the game. The second thing it's going to do, it's going to cut spell and breath attack damage, fire breath damage in half. And then the other thing it's going to do is it's going to heal 1 HP per half step. So actually a little bit of a buff over the NES and even Game Boy Color versions of this game. This game does pay attention to half tiles, and so you are going to get that 1 HP per half step. And so that's going to allow us to head over into a different section of the game here. Going to be picking up an item that we need to finish the game, and then we're going to be doing a lovely little bit of grinding. I do believe StarOfViolence just picked up all of his items and is heading out to go dispatch his last 2 dragons. SUMDeaner cheekily potentially trying to force himself a metal slime here. Yep, that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying for a metal slime. The metal slime will reduce the amount of... Oh, there's one. Oh, but then it ran away. Nope, not going to attempt fate again. Just going to head over to his grind area. Metal slime worth 775 experience. And that is going to cut about a minute or so off of this end game grind here. Not too terribly much, but worth going for. Alrighty, SUMDeaner picking up Erdrick's token here. That is the last of the 3 story items we need to go ahead and... there is one more item we need to collect, and we needed those 3 items in order to get it. We're going to be doing that after a grind section that's going to be approximately about 10 to 15 minutes, give or take. We're just going to be grinding up to as... they may go to level 17. They may kind of edge towards level 17. I have to imagine for StarOfViolence, he's going to be looking to end his grind a little bit early when he does get there to try to make up some of that time difference. SUMDeaner with a comfortable lead may opt to just go all the way to level 17, but regardless, that is more or less the goal for this section. SUMDeaner fighting a Star Wyvern here, who is going to be as much of a jerk. Oh, wow. As much of a jerk as possible here. So the special thing about Star Wyverns here, they really are the only enemy in this section where you kind of have to do more than just hold turbo and wait for it to die. With Star Wyverns, they do have that Heal More spell, and their maximum HP, so they have a max HP of 73, and enemies in pretty much across the entire Dragon Warrior series can actually spawn with as little as 80% of their max HP. And so it is going to be possible some of the time for our plucky Bopo here to take out a Star Wyvern in 2 hits. But if you can't do that, the Star Wyvern is going to have a chance to heal itself, and if it does do the Heal More spell, it's going to be back up to its max HP of 73, and at that point, you can't actually kill it in 2 hits. At least at level 15, you're not going to be able to do that. So you can potentially find yourself stuck in a loop where you hit it twice, and then it heals itself, you hit it twice, it heals itself. And so to avoid that, if it does heal itself, we just go ahead and put it to sleep. Unfortunately, that first sleep did fail for SUMDeaner, but they'd have an 80% chance he was able to dispatch it on the second try. But those Star Wyverns are actually one of the reasons why our MP is going to be pretty important for this section. Sleep does cost 2 MP, and instead of using our MP for healing, we're going to be trying to do as much walking as we can to get that HP back, just to save all of our MP for the sleeps. And StarOfViolence going to go ahead and finish his Dragon Loop here. I know I split that a little bit late, so given the benefit of the doubt here, I'm going to go ahead and say that's about a 2130 on that Dragon Loop. Not bad at all. And StarOfViolence is going to go ahead and pick up his own Staff of Rain. Going to go ahead and make his way towards Hoxus, get that armor as well. And again, just time to sit back and watch the grind. There are 4 different enemies that we can see in this area that we're fighting in here. This werewolf that SUMDeaner just fought gives the least amount of experience, but also the least harmful of all the enemies that you see. Star Wyvern I just talked about. Oh, Kaishin no Ichigeki! Always very satisfying to get a critical hit and take out those Star Wyverns in one go. The other 2 enemies that we can see here are dragons, which give the most experience, but can do quite a bit of damage with their regular attacks. And then the other enemy that we can sometimes see is wizard. Wizards can be the most dangerous enemy here, as they do have the Hurt More spell. And at this point in the game, with our hero at level 15, it can sometimes take 3 attempts to kill one of those wizards. And if they choose to do a lot of Hurt Mores, that's one of the ways we could potentially die here. Death here costing as much as 2 minutes, so definitely going to want to avoid that as much as possible. StarOfViolence going to go ahead and heal up and start his Axe Knight battle. And getting through it with no problems whatsoever. No sleeps for either side here. Very nice. Worth noting here that if either player had died to the Axe Knight, it's not necessarily a huge time loss. Axe Knight actually one of the least critical places where if you die, you will lose a little bit of time walking back to Hawksness, but you can grab a little bit of that time back. And the way you would do that is, you see here, our players basically walk directly from the last dragon to this area and have been using MP along the way to heal and to cast Repel and things of that nature. Oh, Metal Slime. Nope, Metal Slime runs away. And so if the players had died, they would have gotten their MP back. And so they would have more MP for use in this section, and that would allow them to potentially... they're going to be looking to take an intentional death once they have reached approximately the experience that they want, whatever they're happy with. But if you have your maximum MP, you can choose to hit the return spell instead and just head straight on. You can just kind of choose when you want to leave instead of having to walk through the swamp and slowly get yourself killed. And that is one way you can grab a little bit of time back in the event of a death to the Axe Knight, but neither of our players falling today, and both of them will just be taking a traditional grind followed by a death warp. And SUMDeaner did go ahead and hit level 16. And so some players do opt to split at level 16. And if you keep track of when you hit level 16, generally about 8 minutes or so from that point is when you're going to want to start taking a look at your experience and deciding how early you want to leave this section. 17,000 experience is the goal, but before we head into Charlotte Castle to the last dungeon of the game, we are going to be fighting that Marsh Dragon one more time for another 950 experience, and so you can take that into account and get level 17 off that dragon instead of getting it here and just kind of leave a little bit earlier. And then again, exactly how early they choose to leave is going to be up to these players. Wow, a flurry of critical hits from SUMDeaner's side, gonna speed his way over to level 17. And those wizards showing just how nasty they can be with that Hurt More spell, taking SUMDeaner down to 53 HP, but luckily gonna get quite a bit of a walk before his next encounter, getting himself up basically back to max. As StarOfViolence does hit his own level 16. Level 16, pretty important as it does give you a much higher guarantee of getting those 2-hit kills on most of the enemies here. One thing I suppose is good to point out at this point, you'll notice if you've been kind of watching the way that our runners have walked, along with the half-stepping that is unique to these remakes, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and also Dragon Quest 5, which is what this remake is based on. Oh, as SUMDeaner already hitting level 17, now I imagine going to go ahead and take his Death Warp here. We should be able to see it after the Death Warp here. We should be able to see SUMDeaner do a little bit of a walking technique here. Let's see what he does after he takes this Death Warp. Yeah, so right here, you can see SUMDeaner walked up into that gray mountain tile, and he was kind of a half step to the left of that tile, and he's also walking down towards these mountain tiles, and again, walking kind of half step out of alignment. So what that's going to do, it's actually a very important thing to understand when you're doing this speed run. Basically, when you walk down and when you walk up or down and you're a half step aligned with a tile or with one of the kind of beach borders there, basically what's going to happen is the game is going to force you to take a step to the left or the right, even though you're still holding down. And what that's going to do for us is a couple of things. One, there's kind of a number that's ticking down towards our next encounter, and it ticks down every half step. But for that one half step, when we're being forced to the right or the left, that number does not tick down, and also you cannot get an encounter on that one step. So even if you were supposed to get an encounter on that step, it would not occur until the next step. And so basically what we're kind of doing is pushing all of our encounters off into the future and trying to, it's a technique that we can use to mitigate the total number of encounters that we get over the course of a run in any given section. And also with Erdrick's armor, that half step does still allow us to get that 1 HP per half step. So a very important technique with Erdrick's armor on to get our HP back. So SUMDeaner picking up this dragon, gonna need, we are gonna be looking for level 18 once we're inside Sharlock, but gonna need a little bit less than 3,000 experience for SUMDeaner. Very reasonable amount of experience to gather as he makes his way down towards the Dragon Lord. But before that, we do have a couple of things that we need to take care of as StarOfViolence makes his way to level 17. StarOfViolence showing off his half-stepping technique to get himself a little bit of HP back. And now SUMDeaner has picked up the Rainbow Drop, the last story required item, going to be required to get to Sharlock Castle. And we're going to take one quick trip back to Ribbledar to do a little bit of shopping, and then we're going to be on our way to the final descents. It is important to note that the final boss, as well as the Sharlock Castle itself, can be a little bit dangerous and a little bit unpredictable. And so this race is not over by any means. And sorry if I mispronounce your name. Ali Chirprop in chat asks, do you need to save the princess in this? No, you do not. Saving the princess is absolutely not required. It is required if you're playing blind, as the location of Erdrick's token, while fixed. The princess does kind of give you the means to locate Erdrick's token to finish the game, but if you know where Erdrick's token is, then no, there is no requirement to save the princess to finish the game. And SUMDeaner here in the town of Rimbledar is going to buy himself... yeah, princess is a meat shield, yes. Very important to have that princess as the meat shield. But SUMDeaner here going to go ahead and fill up his herbs, and going to go ahead and buy a torch, and then going to take an inn to get his HP and MP back, and then now he's going to head into Sharlock for the final descent. And StarOfViolence, I believe, should be hitting level 17 here momentarily. Has not opted to check his experience, so likely just going to go to level 17 and then do his death work. Oh, Jerkbird gonna jerk. And the Star Wyvern does take out StarOfViolence just before he hits level 17. He did choose to take off his armor. Can't imagine he needs too much more experience here. Yeah, 492, perfectly acceptable. Still going to get level 17 off that final dragon, and then going to need about 3,500 experience to get to level 18, which is the level that we are going to take on the Dragon Lord. And so now that we are here in Sharlock, again, SUMDeaner needing a little bit less than 3,000 experience, getting a dragon on this first floor, pretty nice. You can see werewolves here, which don't give quite as much experience. You can see Star Wyverns here, which at this point in the game, because MP is at a premium, if those Star Wyverns choose to heal, you're basically going to have to run away from them. The other enemies that we can see here include Axe Knights and Wizards. And then this Axe Knight, yep, SUMDeaner choosing to just run away from it. They still have that sleep spell. That sleep spell still is quite deadly, and so not going to choose to mess around with that. Going to go ahead and open this door and use the torch, and we got one pit stop before we make our way down to the very bottom. We do need to pick up Erdrick's sword. And then along the way, it's going to be taking as many encounters as we can. SUMDeaner taking a quick peek at his experience. I didn't quite see what the value was, but I would wager that he's right around 2,500 experience needed. And now starting from this third basement level, the encounters do change. We can see, oh yes, perfect, on your screen is a blue dragon, or kiss dragon in the Japanese version. These dragons can be a little bit painful. Their bite does hurt quite a bit. Flame breath, not so much, but they are worth 180 experience. That is the most on this floor. And so somebody is going to want to see as many of those as possible. All right, StarOfViolence picking up his rainbow drop. Going to be headed towards Charlotte shortly, as SUMDeaner did get put to sleep, but woke up immediately on the next turn. Didn't take too much damage there. Going to be working his way down towards the chest that contains Erdrick's sword. And now at this point, we're looking at a Stone Man here. Stone Man is not something we would normally opt to fight. Oh, failing 2 sleeps in a row. My goodness. And choosing to run away. That was very unfortunate. Stone Men do have an 80% chance to go to sleep, so very unlikely that he would fail those 2 sleeps there, but then having to run away, not choosing to use the heal more. So normally these Stone Men do go down in 3 hits, sometimes 4. Yeah, there's a 3 hit right there, so SUMDeaner was hoping to get a little bit of extra experience without taking so much damage, but things did not quite go his way, unfortunately. So SUMDeaner doing a little bit of grinding here next to these stairs. Once we head down, the encounters are going to change a little bit. We're going to have quite a few scary monsters to fight, most notably the Armored Knight, or Death God Knight, as it's known in Japanese version. We don't really want to be messing with those if we don't have to, so going to be looking to get himself at a comfortable level of experience here. Can opt to fight these Axe Knights. Now that he has Erdrick's sword, they generally only take 2 hits to vanquish. And going to go ahead and head down right after that. So one thing that we can do in this game is when you go up and down stairs, or basically any transition point, including towns, castles, whatever, that's going to reset your threat. And so going up those stairs, taking a few extra steps to heal, and going to be able to get his HP back as he continues his march towards level 18. Alrighty, it looks like Star did manage to make up a little bit of time here as he enters Charlock. Ooh, tasty red dragon over on the side of SUMDeaner. So these red dragons, very scary in the NES version, not so much here in the Super Famicom version. For whatever reason, the developers decided to give this red dragon a particular script, and that script is going to guarantee that on the first 3 turns, wow, another one, it's going to do the same thing on its first 3 turns every single time. It's going to do a flame breath, it's going to do stop spell, and then it's going to do a regular attack. Now, that regular attack can hurt, but we're not going to be hopefully seeing too much of that here. 350 experience for a total of 700 on SUMDeaner's side. Very lucky. Only a 20% chance to see those guys. So a good chance here as SUMDeaner enters the final floor. Good chance that he could get level 18 before he gets to the Dragon Lord. Now, again, getting to the Dragon Lord first does not mean that he's going to necessarily win. The Dragon Lord Form 1 can be a bit of a troll. He does have sleep, he does have heal more. If he puts our hero to sleep, our hero can just die or be forced to heal more early. And if he casts heal more himself a lot, he can prolong the fight and drain your hit points. It generally takes 7 hits to kill the first form of the Dragon Lord, so both players will be counting those hits. They want to end the first phase of the fight with 55 HP or better to ensure that they can take the first hit from the second form of the Dragon Lord. Wow, 4 red dragons for SUMDeaner, 2 that he didn't even need. The rich just keep getting richer. Alrighty, gonna go ahead and start this Dragon Lord fight. Very important to say no here. There's 1. There's 2. Oh, there's a sleep attempt that failed. There's 3. Gonna go ahead and take his heal here. Oh, there is a heal more. That's gonna take off a couple hits, so we're gonna go back to 4. There is a miss. Gonna go up to 5. Oh, and a critical hit gonna take out the Dragon Lord 1. This is really looking really good. SUMDeaner could take this. Dragon Lord 2 is on a fixed turn order, so SUMDeaner gonna be very aware of this. Gonna go ahead and swing on turn 1, and he's gonna go ahead and heal on turn 2. We're gonna use an herb here. Alrighty, looking for that breath attack. Yes, got the breath attack on turn 4. Gonna be able to take 3 shots in a row here. This is looking really good for SUMDeaner. Oh, a StarOfViolence just barely gets away from an Axe Knight over on his screen. SUMDeaner making very wise use of his herbs here, stretching out his resources to their absolute maximum. Gets another breath attack on turn 4 here. Wow, things just totally going SUMDeaner's way. Gonna go ahead and use another herb here. Oh, and getting that physical attack on turn 4. Alrighty, here we go. This should be getting pretty close to the end here. He should be very comfortable winning this race. Oh, wow. Cutting it real close there. And there we go. SUMDeaner has done it. He has vanquished the second form of the Dragon Lord, and he will be the winner of this race. And once again, as mentioned before, timing does not stop until we watch the credits. But as SUMDeaner was the first to beat the Dragon Lord, he is going to start the credits first. He is going to finish them first, and he will be moving on to the grand final. As StarOfViolence picks up his own Erdrick sword, going to go ahead and get his way to level 18 and make his own finish. Wow, SUMDeaner looks like he's on pace here for a pretty low 136, a very, very respectable time. As soon as he hits the dot done in IRC, I will update you guys with the official SRL time. Alrighty, there is the dot done. SUMDeaner has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1:36.27. A very respectable race time indeed. GG. And with that ding, I do believe SUMDeaner has joined us. SUMDeaner, how you doing, man?
Hi, everybody. Good. I'm doing great.
That was one heck of a race.
Yeah, I think for my run, it was pretty clean. Nothing went wrong. So 1:36 finish time is really good for a race.
Yeah, it is really good for a race. No problems with Axe Knight for once.
Yeah, he's been settling down lately. So far in the tournament, he hasn't given me any trouble. And last couple times I played, I think I've only died maybe once. So
yeah,
maybe things are
I
getting
actually,
a little more average.
Interestingly enough, between both your Axe Knight fights, no sleep attempts from Axe Knight for either of you guys.
Ah, just the classic.
Yeah, just the classic showdown on turn 4.
All right. That's what I like to see. And also, of course, winning that.
Yeah, unfortunately, StarOfViolence took a couple of unfortunate deaths. I went ahead and looked something up. StarOfViolence took a death to in the grave to a Rogue Knight, and I looked. It actually rolled max damage twice in a row, and he failed to run from it twice. So,
yeah, I noticed he was having some difficulties early on. It looked like he died on the way to Rimmeldar.
Yeah,
which was
he got slept and murdered from full HP.
Oh, that's what it was. Because I know he had much more. His supplies were looking much better than mine. I spent a lot in the first floor of the mountain cave, as it were.
Yeah, but it looked like you ran from everything first try on the second floor?
The second floor was much smoother. I think I got hit by something once or twice, but it was smooth on the second floor, which I was grateful for. It let me keep a couple of herbs for the trip to Rimmeldar, which I definitely needed.
Yeah, because you checked your herbs and you were down to 2, and I was a little bit worried, but you walked to the second floor with 2 and Death Work with 2, and that allowed you to get to Rimmeldar okay.
Yeah, I didn't spend any on the second floor. That really saved me. Once I noticed that Star hit a setback first in Rimmeldar, I went ahead and just tried to level up to 8 in the grave, so I was really sort of playing a much more conservative route from here on out. I also played my grind, the Melkito
Kaishu no Ichigeki from StarOfViolence as he goes into Dragonlord 2. Both of you guys quit Dragonlord 1, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he should be in good shape to finish here as long as he follows the right turn order.
Yeah, with 11 heal mores here, yeah, it should be no problem for Star.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just going to say that my strong grind, I noticed, was really kind of slow, a lot of rude birds, and I ended up deliberately staying all the way up to level 17 and beyond, just to make my castle nice and comfy. I figured if I made it through the castle first try with the lead that I had, that it should be no problem. So that was my game plan.
I like that you stuck around to try to force a Metal Slime.
Oh yeah, I did go up there. I like going up there and forcing at least one fight just for kicks. Try and get a chance to demonstrate the frame manipulation technique, but nobody stuck around long enough for me to hit them. So, oh well.
No, neither of you. For neither of you, the Star saw one on his way to the grind too, but it ran away first chance it got. So.
Yeah, I bumped into one on the Golem Walk as well. I swung at him and missed, and then he bugged out. Oh well. Maybe. Oh.
Dragon ready to get down the line. Oh, critical hit, and that's going to do it for StarOfViolence. He is going to go ahead and finish up that Dragonlord 2. And he's going to go ahead and watch his credits and finish probably with the time, I want to say 142, high 142, maybe 143.
Which is not bad considering how rough his opening really was. He was getting bullied by a lot of things early on.
He definitely made up a lot of time.
And I would have been sort of a little frustrated with how things were starting out for him. But
he was showing his frustration in chat, believe me.
Okay, I figured as much. But looked like the rest of the things settled down for him, and he's going to finish with a reasonable time.
Yeah, 143, nothing to sneeze at all. And so that's going to lock it up. So SUMDeaner's going to go ahead and move on to that grand final bracket. His opponent is going to be either myself or a rematch against StarOfViolence. Going to have to tune into that loser's final match to find out who moves on.
Yeah, definitely look forward to that. Good luck in that, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to a good race.
So am I.
And I'll be looking forward to playing the winner as well.
Yeah, that's going to be
Sounds perfect.
pretty exciting. Hopefully, we can force that true grand final.
So you're telling me to throw the first game, huh?
I
Just
didn't say
kidding.
anything.
No, I'll play my best as always. I love to race and I love to show my skills.
That's back-to-back 136 finishes that I'm looking at the bracket.
My other run also finished at 136, so
That's impressive.
it's really been just generally smooth sailing for me so far in the tournament. Nothing major going wrong. Just little things here and there, or situations where I'm trying to take my time a little bit and make it safer on myself. I like to play aggressively in the beginning, but once things settle down, I usually keep things a little bit safer. Unless it's a close race, and then you gotta push all the way.
Yeah, Star left with about 500 experience remaining from his grind, so that was one place where he was able to make up a little bit of time. And there is the dot done. SRL time of 1:43:03 for StarOfViolence. Go ahead and break out your GGs for him for finishing up a great race.
GG. Great job, Star.
Just asking if Star wants to give some parting words in Discord before we head out.
I hear ya.
Alrighty, Star's going to go ahead and take care of some other things. So it looks like that's going to do it for us. So thank you everyone so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Shy for helping us out with the restream. Going to go ahead and drop those links one more time. Go ahead and please, whoops, no, not that one. Go ahead and give those runners a follow. SUMDeaner does a lot of Dragon Quest over on his channel, as does StarOfViolence. StarOfViolence also doing a little bit of DDR on his channel. I also do some Dragon Quest on my channel myself, and of course Shy, again, helping us out with the restream, very active with the Randomania Network. So once again, thanks everyone for showing up and watching. Thanks everyone behind the scenes for all the help. But that is going to do it for us. Until just keep your eyes out for that loser's final match between myself and StarOfViolence coming up shortly. And otherwise, it's going to do it for us. Have a nice night, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching. And thanks so much for the host guys, and you too as well, Avkian, for commentary tonight. Great job as always. Have a great night, everyone. See you next time.
GG.